Hey guys, welcome. Sonia here. Nice to see all of you. I know that I am practicing getting these live streams sent out as part of my podcast routine. So today you are actually being a part of my experience of living my best life and living with intention. That's what today's episode is. It's podcast episode 113. And it's all about living with intention. And I know you've heard me chat before about, my daily check-ins on Fridays and motivational Mondays and transformation Tuesdays, wellness Wednesdays, and thankful Thursdays. But what does it look like to put all of that together? I want you to pause for just a second and think about this. What does it mean to put it all together? What life are you creating for yourself? Now, some people have heard me say this analogy before, and some people you haven't. It's new. And the same thing with my coffee cup. I don't like dry lips, so that's why I did that. The same thing with my coffee cup. There is a story with this coffee cup, and every day you see me go live with the coffee cup, a water bottle, something. So let's start with that. I'm going to start by sharing why the coffee cup is so important to me. So a couple years back, Tony and I were sitting outside after I had taught my fitness class at the studio. And this was pre-COVID. And I came back home. It was a Saturday and we made a cup of coffees. We went outside and it was so perfect. I can't even tell you how surreal the moment was. Just two people sitting together, having a great conversation and really, really, really being in alignment. And I thought to myself right there and then, as we were amongst the midst of the beauty that surrounded us, that as an entrepreneur, I did not understand why I could not live every single life with this kind of intention in this moment, with this so much love and gratitude. And I had vowed to myself that from that moment forward, that my goal in life is when choosing my coffee cup of the day is my hardest choice, then I know I've made it. So I've been practicing that ever since. And of course, I've got, what's the word here? Of course, I have more direction. Of course, I've had more direction since then, but I still haven't ended up at my final destination. Who would want that in their late 40s? Honestly, I appreciate the journey. I love the journey. And part of the journey is living with intention. But knowing that my end game is to have my coffee cup choice of the day to be my hardest decision that I have to make, that is empowering. It is very empowering, and it is a conscious choice I make every single day. Because if that coffee cup is the hardest choice I have to make, it means I've achieved time freedom. It means I have successfully reached balanced health and elevated finances. So I don't have to worry about my money. I don't have to worry about where my time goes. And I definitely don't have to worry about my health. I'm in good health. All of these boxes are checked and they are all working for me. That means literally choosing my coffee cup of the day is the hardest decision I have to make. And for me, that is a win. Now, that was pre-COVID. So, of course, there were some setbacks in life with one area or another. And I, like most of you, and yes, I'm a wellness coach. Yes, I'm a trained expert, personal trainer, healthy eating and weight loss coach, NLP certified life coach with 30 years in corporate. Here's the thing. I, too, gained weight over COVID. Here's my story. My ankles were so bad from teaching 23 fitness classes and from living my best life, doing triathlons and events and things like that. You can see on one of my posters up there, that my mobility was gone. I had spent 4 years in physio and I didn't come out of physio until this year, maybe a couple months ago, where I was finally dismissed from physio and I was comfortable with being dismissed. They did offer me to be dismissed around Christmas, around December, and I wasn't quite ready. I wanted to know that there was a backup plan and that I could go whenever I needed to for checkups just to make sure that everything is in alignment. So, of course, I gained weight. I could barely move my body. That was an outlet. That was my life. That was my identity. So, yes, I gained weight. That's okay, right? It's part of my story. And just like you have your stories. How do you own it though? And what do you do about it? So for those who have been following me consistently, for those who have been a chapter or a story or a part of my life for a longer duration, You know that I am loving being back into constant activity, mindfulness, and incredible movement since I'm able to move my body. And I have been living intentionally ever since. You really don't know what you have till it's gone. You don't know the power of not being able to move your body until it's gone. So, what does living intentionally mean to you? Well, for me, it means moving my body every single day as much as I possibly can. Yes, there's work to be done. There's things that need to be done, but it also means living in an alignment. I love how I feel when I move my body. I love the energy that comes with it. And I really, really, really like how it brings everything together in terms of my priorities, my focus. And that is off when I don't do it. So last night, I intentionally grabbed a couple of girlfriends who weren't in the same social circle. One of them was my oldest daughter and one of my closest girlfriends, and a newer friend who I've gotten really close with this year. I brought us all together and we went paddleboarding by the moonlight in a full moon on Lake Erie. It was amazing. And that was intentional. Playing more is intentional. Working more for what I believe is so important, helping people live happier and healthier lives, helping people live with intention is incredible. Because what's the alternative? Let's talk about this for 1 second. I don't have a lot of time today because I do have another appointment coming up, but I still wanted to do today's podcast this way. I love the fact that there's the video clip to go with it. You can see my energy, feel my sincerity, and that's going to encourage you to want to reach out. I'm sure of it, or at least follow, like, and subscribe. So don't forget to do that. But, what's the alternative to not living your best life? I can tell you my experience. That alternative is living somebody else's life. Whether it's a husband or a relationship that didn't work out and you are tiptoeing around that, whether it's for an employer that is asking you to do things that you're not in alignment with, that you know is not your true calling, that you know you are showing up each day and you don't want to be there, but you need to make the money and you need to get through and you need to live your life. Of course, we need to be happy, grateful, and thankful for what we have. And I'm not at all saying divorce. I'm not at all saying quit your job. I'm not saying any of those things, but I'm asking you to check in with yourself to see where you are in that process. Where do you stand in those relationships? Where are you going with your life? So it's been a while since I've talked about the railroad track analogy, and we're going to go there right now. So take your arms out. Just your arms out at both sides. You really can't see, obviously, with the video, but stretch your arms out from side to side. Now, I'm just going to move to one side here so you can see a little bit of this. Okay, so you see my fingers are dropping low and my wrist. So we're going to look at that for a second. The left side is your past. The right side is your future. So here, from here to here is birth on your left-hand side. Okay, so birth is your fingers to your wrists. But now you take your wrists to your center. We're going to consider this your center, and then this is your future. So from your past, you've got your wrists to your shoulders. On your future, you've got your center right here, and now your future is to the right, your shoulders to your wrists, and then let's be completely honest, your wrist is going to be your end of life. So now that you've got the basics of the analogy down pat, let's talk about it. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you were born, right? That's your fingers and your hands. That's your birth. You were born. You don't really remember much until you're like somewhere between 3 and 7, and there's different studies to support different findings. But a lot of your childhood is a part of who you are. Your subconscious is running that story over and over and over again. And typically by the age of 7, that's all been set into place within your subconscious based on the habits, based on the people you've been around. So without diving deep into that area, I want to say from your wrist to your shoulders, there's been a lot of experiences in your life that have brought you exactly where you are right now in this moment. So for some of you, it could be your first time you wrote an exam at school, right? That would be like a mountain that you had to climb at that moment. It could be writing to get your driver's license. It could have been perhaps the night before you got married or your wedding day, where you had all of those butterflies and you were nervous and you didn't know if your partner was going to show up and you didn't know what it was going to look like or feel like. but that feeling, those butterflies. In some cases, it's a health issue. In some cases, it's an emergency that you had to deal with. For some people, it's financial pitfalls. Your story is your story. Your story matters. Check the book out. Anyways, so everything that's happened on your left-hand side to bring you to where you are today, you have survived every single mountain that you have had in front of you. Again, it can be personal, it can be financial, it can be employment. I can't tell you what it is for you, but I can let you know for sure you have survived every single one of them. Car accidents. These scenarios were put in your life for a reason. So that has brought you where you're at today. So we all are in agreement. You wouldn't be listening to this. You wouldn't be seeing this. You wouldn't be knowing about this if you weren't here today. Okay. So that means you have survived every single scenario that you've gone through in your life. As big as those mountains were, and call it a mountain, call it whatever you want, you made it through to the other side. Whether you went whether you went around, whether you went under, whether you blasted that mountain, whether you went over top, at the end of the day, you have survived all of the hard days that you've had in your life up until right now. Kiddo, I'm doing a live stream on YouTube. Have a good day. Send me a text. Sorry, this is life. My youngest daughter always comes and says hi to me whenever I am doing, she doesn't even know when I'm doing things, but every morning she wakes up and she says hi, and I love it. Normally she sits in here and we chat for a few minutes, but I'm doing this. So she's off to say goodbye. And as you heard, see you Monday. I love being a mom. But yeah, that's another mountain, right? The first time you gave birth, or the first year as a parent, or your first year as an entrepreneur, and you are sacrificing it all on the line. Okay, so we've agreed that there were mountains that you've gone through, and we've agreed that you are where you're at right now because you have survived every single one of those mountains. So what's in store for you? We don't know. We really don't know. The one thing we do know is you are going to survive every single one of those mountains except for one. So let's fast forward to the right-hand side to where the wrist is right here, because we know that is the end of life, and that happens. It's a circle of life. So we're not going to spend too much time being morbid or sitting in that space, but we are going to go there for just a minute. So there are going to be other mountains to get you to here, to the end of life right now. Now, I want you to fast forward to that time at the end of the life where you are completely at peace and the next chapter begins, whatever that looks like for you. What do you want people to say about you at your eulogy? What do you want them to remember about you? What feeling, what impact do you want to leave behind? So if you're a cynic, don't respond, please. I did have some conversations with some people in the past, and they're like, well, I don't care, I'm dead. Okay, well, that's not for you. Then you're not going to be listening to this. You're not going to be intentionally seeking this out. You're not going to be intentionally taking action and living your best life because you just don't care. But most of us do care. We want more, or we wouldn't be working a job that we are passionate about or trying to work a job. If you are ever frustrated, that tells me that you want more because something's not in alignment and something's not working out for your true intentions. And that's your body's way of communicating with you. So frustrated, miserable, irritable, we got to talk. So here's the thing. Go with me on this. It's your end of life. You have passed away. Whatever that next step looks like for you, that's completely a different conversation. And that's something I am open to chatting with people about. But we all know we don't know. That's the unknown. So what do you want people to say? What legacy are you leaving behind? And I really thought about this years ago, and I've been living my life with intention ever since. So those 3 points of intention: elevated finances, balanced energy, achieving time freedom. I have craved and carved out those spaces and those areas of focus into my life. Now, I know you hear me talk about meals, movement, mindset, and my relationship with money, but now you know why. They're a part of those 3 areas. And in order to successfully have what I want to achieve, I need to find that balance in those 4 things. An intentional life is a life with direction. An intentional life is a life with forgiveness. An intentional life is a life of serving and helping others and supporting where you can. Now, serving can be different, and I did put some examples on here, but serving can be offering a free scholarship to one of your current clients that they just can't afford to pay for you, or it would make or break their life. Serving doesn't have to be being Mother Teresa or volunteering at a hospital or at an animal shelter. It can be whatever you want it to be. Keep that in mind. There's a whole list. I actually noted 5 different points when it comes to living with intention. But it's showing up each day, working on that end goal of that legacy that you want to leave behind. What is it? When your great grandkids or your grandkids are talking about you, because we don't know when that last mountain's going to hit. We really don't know. When that point comes, what do you want them to say? I want my story to live on. I've written books. I do podcasts. I'm on YouTube now a little bit more intentionally. And I just looked at the clock for the time here and it said 1555. So anybody else that's into numerology, you're going to pick that up. That was 3 5s in a row. And that is a good thing. That actually means transformation. And how ironic that I saw that when I looked at how long I've been talking. And that came up right here, right now. What life do you want to live? What legacy do you want to leave behind? What is it that you want your children or your employees or your friends to be doing with you? So it's not just a matter of getting up and doing the things that are going to have the impact. It's getting up and being kind to yourself, understanding that not every day is going to look identical. Some days you might miss your affirmations. Some days you might not do the movement, but I'm here to help you put those actions into place so you can identify where you're going. And it starts, by the way, with understanding where you don't want to be. And this is why we need to have a conversation, because most people don't understand where they want to go yet. I'm here to help you with that. And as an accountability coach, I lead by example. You can pop on here and see what I'm doing all the time. You can see my family dynamics like that just happen, or sometimes you have my grandson in here. Or some of you that have been following, you know that Nathan's going to the States in 2 weeks and Gizmo had surgery last week and my parents pop in. Guys, this is the life I'm choosing to lead, because which category does that fall into? Achieving time freedom? 100%. I quit my part-time job in April. That was a big move. I was an emotional basket case. I knew I was not in alignment. I knew this. I was sick. I was bringing my grandson to work with me because I took on that responsibility of trying to help and support. That wasn't my role. It was my role to be supportive, and I did what I could. However, you have to learn things the hard way or you don't learn the lessons. And those lessons will continue to repeat themselves. So you will continue to attract the same people for you to learn those lessons until you completely make it through the other side of that mountain. And I've done that. And that's why I'm here sharing all of this with all of you. I want you all to live your life with intention. Fill your life up with knowledge and people and experiences, but know that you are going somewhere. So for instance, in order for me to maintain the lifestyle that I want to maintain, which means more time with my family and my friends and doing things that I love that fuel me with energy, you know what that means? Yeah, I have to do the work, not just the work on my life, but I actually have to do the work on my business so I can financially support that goal, right? So I'm not saying it's 100% play, but I know for me, I need the play. I also need to do the work so I can bring in the money to do the play. I also want to be bringing in residual income so that'll free up my time and I'm not spending all of my time in, what's the word? Trading time for money. I can't think of what that one is called, but it doesn't matter. We'll circle back to that another day. I'm not in that position right now anymore, where when I work with clients, it looks completely different than completely just being in the moment where it's like going to a job, where I'm trading 8 hours for a paycheck. But I intentionally made that choice. I've intentionally aligned myself with things that bring me joy. And I do those things on the regular. Some days they're big, some days they're small. Some days they're with people, some days they're by myself. But in order to have balanced health, I need to take care of all of these components in my life. How does that sound? What are you wanting to do with your life? What kind of legacy are you wanting to leave behind? My next legacy, and this feeling came up about a couple years after my coffee cup analogy. And this one was where I was going to be drinking that cup of coffee. And I love my family. You need to know this before I say this, but it's my lakefront waterhouse cottage and retreat. And here's why. Not only do I love being by the water and it makes me feel good and it calms me down because I am full of energy, and it also purifies me and relaxes me. But I could go on to the benefits of water. However, I want it to be a cottage and retreat that I can rent out, Airbnb, whatever it looks like, at a reasonable rate for those people who have never experienced what it feels like to have mini getaways or that can't afford to go away on holidays or vacation. My parents both worked. They were blue collar family, I'd say blue, white collar family. And our vacations, for the most part, were driving 14 hours to watch TV in a different language. My brother and I were kids. We went to go see my mom's family. And there was some moments that were fantastic, but I remember those car rides more than anything, right? I want that experience to be different for other people. I want those families to be able to have those family memories at a cottage or a space that is reasonable. And that's why I do what I do, to give you the experience of life, to help you live intentionally. My friends, I'm going to end this story there, but I want to hear how you're living with attention. You know I've got the modalities to support you on this, and you also know that I am working on living my best life. I've been doing this for years. So take a look at my link tree. Do one of the assessments in there. I will, the link is always on my podcast and my shows, so you can definitely find it in my bio or anywhere. And guys, make it a fantastic day. Next week, we have a special guest coming on board. I'm going to be doing an interview, and I love these because I love surprising my guests with some amazing questions. Make it a fantastic day, my friends, and thank you so much for your time.